Hello and welcome to IASLE Podcast.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to IASLE webinar. My name is Charlie, and I'm honored to be your host. We gather here virtually for today and excited to have Dr. Maiga, full professor from Athabasca University. And his topic for today is Authorship Forensic. Dr. Maiga is a renowned expert in this field of education technology and received numerous awards for his outstanding research contribution. All right, so without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Maiga.
Thank you so much for having me. And yep, let me share my screen. And can you share?
Okay,
can you
sure.
allow me to share the screen?
Yes. Should be able to do that.
Yeah. Okay, let me share that. And I can put it here so everyone can see me.
Great.
Okay, share. All right. I think you guys can see my screen right now.
Yes.
Okay. Then we can start. So thank you so much for having time to attend this webinar. So today I would like to talk about a little bit different from the earlier series of webinars. So earlier we are talking about generative AI, how to use generative AI for teaching and doing the applications and for students learning. But today we are going to do counter generative AI. So that is our topic, authorship forensic. We're trying to find out a piece of work, who is the author? So if we see a piece of work submitted by students, can we identify whether or not this piece of work is done by student or done by computer? So that is today's counter generative AI topic. My name is Maiga Zhang, and right now I'm working in Athabasca University. I'm Associate Dean of Research as well as a full professor. I'm also a Vice President of the International Association of Smart Learning Environment. So in this generative AI era, there are many key challenges that people they are seeing the use of generative AI, especially in education. So for example, everyone think students, they may rely too much on the generative AI. They consider generative AI is the next generation of a search engine, but different from search engine, they don't really verify or vet the information generative AI provide them, like a ChatGPT provided them the response they will directly use without consider whether or not they are authentic or the information are accurate. And when they are using generative AI like this way, the problem is they may not really apply what they have learned from their class, or even they are very good students, they may still just send the exercise provided by their professors or teachers and directly to generative AI and ask generative AI like ChatGPT, give them answer. And when they receive that answer or the work, they also don't really read those work and directly send back to the teachers or their professors. So that is why people they think when students they are using generative AI, they may not really apply what they have learned. On the other hand, just like in Canada, we have English and French, the two official language. And although they are official languages, but most of the people, they really don't have a very good skill set in terms of using, let's say, French, like me. So they may learn a little bit of French vocabulary or other things in elementary school or primary schools, but then they don't really use them. Now, when they are working in a company, their supervisors may ask them to please write 200 words in French to promote our product. In that case, the employees, they may simply create the 200 words promotion materials for the product in English and then send it to the ChatGPT or generative AI and ask generative AI to create a French version of the product. In that case, when they provided that 200 words to their supervisor will say, wow, you are so good in French. So see, this actually is not really the quality or the skill that this employee they have, but with the generative AI, actually they can provide something to their employer or teachers, some kind of works that above their quality or their skill set without let them know, without let the supervisor or professors know or teachers know that. In that case, you may consider a little bit of cheating. Now, actually, before generative AI, people they are already trying to hire someone to help you to do the homework, but that is not really a news, right? But the problem is now they don't need to spend $200 to hire someone to do the assignment two for them. They can use $2 to use generative AI like ChatGPT to help them to do their homework. So that is another issue. Most important thing that is, hide behind the scene is plagiarism. You may wonder, wow, I use generative AI, they are generate a test issues about plagiarism because plagiarism means if you use a certain amount of words that they already been seen in another publication without quote or cite them, then that is a plagiarism. Now, generative AI, they generate a test for you, but you don't know whether or not the generated, let's say 30 words or 50 words, they are actually has already been seen in another publication. And in that case, generative AI or ChatGPT will not let you know they are exactly same like the publication in another publications, and they will not provide you the double quotation mark. They will not provide you the citation, and it's lead to the end. You have a plagiarism issue. So now, teachers, they also have a problem. They are so afraid that they see a submission from their student and they say, wow, you are doing good job. I want to give you 95, 96, 98, even 100 for this mark. But they are so afraid that what happened if the student actually is using ChatGPT or generative AI to do the homework and I didn't catch up and I give them 100? What will happen to me? People, they may see I am not a very good teacher, I am not responsible or something like that. That is not a good, not a really good. So that is what we want to talk about. Can we differentiate AI written test? So many people actually they are already started doing some kind of evaluation. First of all, they're trying to find out if you as a human being you can identify a piece of work is done by ChatGPT or generative AI rather than a human being. So one group of researchers, they trying to collect 24,000 questions and their responses from those very general common seen platform like Stack Overflow, like other kind of Q&A platform. They also create some responses by using ChatGPT. Now they created this data set called HC3 English data set, and they have 17 volunteers. 8 of them, they say they are frequent user of ChatGPT. The other 9, actually they don't. So in that case, if I give you a pair of question and response and ask you to identify who is the author, they found that actually in average only 63% accuracy will be done by this group of 17 volunteers. On the other hand, if you only take a look at least 8 ChatGPT frequent users, they do have higher performance, which is 81% accuracy rate. Which means if you are using ChatGPT longer, then perhaps you can identify, you can find out, oh, actually when ChatGPT writes something, they will write something like this. So you may have a better accuracy rate when you guess whether or not this piece of work is done by ChatGPT. The other data set or the other research is done by another group of authors, Gao. They actually choose 50 paper abstract from high-impact journals. So you know that we have high-impact journals like SSCI and SSCI, and they randomly choose 50 papers and using their abstract to be the human-written data. And then they use the same paper title and the journal name, ask ChatGPT to create 50 abstract. So now you have 100 abstract. Half of them they are done by human, half of them they are done by ChatGPT. So they also invite human reviewers and ask them to review and guess. In that case, they only got 82%, 82.93% in terms of precision rate. And that is about 79% F0.5 score. So what that mean? When we have some kind of a guess, so for example, you have a piece of work, it is really, really done by ChatGPT. Your system or you as a human, you predict this is done by ChatGPT, then that is true false, true positive, correct answer. On the other hand, if you see an abstract that is done by human, but you say, no, I think this is done by ChatGPT, then that is a false positive. So if we consider this, the first column, the first row is you got COVID. And we do know that we have a lot of COVID tests. So the COVID test is saying positive, you did get COVID. Then that is true positive. On the other hand, you didn't get COVID, but the COVID test showing that the PCR test showing that you get COVID, then that is false positive. So if we only consider true positive and false positive, then that is what we call precision. So precision is trying to make the false positive as smaller as possible. We want this number to be 0. You can see if we can let false positive to be 0, then the precision rate will be 100%. What that mean? That means we will never falsely accuse anyone who didn't do the things. So no one will be false accused. They didn't use ChatGPT, but if you say they are using ChatGPT, that is falsely accused. That is bad, right? They didn't do anything bad, but you say they are a criminal. So that is not good. So if you consider you wanted to reduce the false positive to making sure that no one will be accused incorrectly, then you are talking about precision. On the other hand, we can take a look at here. If you get COVID, PCR test tell you you didn't get the COVID. That is false negative. So what is the problem? The problem is because you really have COVID, but the PCR test tell you you didn't have COVID. So you will go out, you will transmit your COVID disease or the virus without notice that. So that is a little bit also not good, right? So in that case, we call this is recall. If we don't want anyone not being caught when they are cheating, so for example, they are students, they are using ChatGPT to, and your teacher or your system consider they are still done by human, then you make them get loose and they don't get caught, and you still give them high score. So if you have a concern about that, you want to make this false negative 0, and in that case you can see your recall rate will also be very high. That is recall. Now, if you consider both precision and the recall, they are all very important, then that is what we call F1 score. If you consider the precision is more important than the recall, then that is what we call F0.5 score. If you consider recall is more important than precision, then that is what we call F2 score. So just like what I showed you earlier, you can see in this research, they give you the information about precision as well as F0.5. So you have a precision rate, you have a F score, F0.5 score, so you can actually come out their recall score, a recall value. So that is something you can see from the research. Researchers, they will not provide you everything. So sometimes they only provide you precision, true positive, false positive. Sometimes they only provide you recall, true positive, false negative. Or sometimes they just provide you an accuracy. Accuracy usually means if you consider all of these 4 value together, and true positive is correct, false positive, true negative is correct, and these 2 they are incorrect. So you will have a true positive plus true negative divided by the total of all values. That will be your overall accuracy. But you can consider that will make you lose what exactly the positive, false positive is, or false negative is. Now, just like old sayings, the old saying says, whoever hung the bell on the tiger's neck must untie it. So in Chinese, we call 解铃还须系铃人. So you all know that the ChatGPT is what we say, wow, it's so good. And then now we are so worried about the generative AI. They will make students, they are lazy, they don't really think, and they just use what the generative AI provide them and submit it to their teacher. So who created ChatGPT? OpenAI, right? So OpenAI is who hung the bell on the tiger's neck. So can OpenAI untie it? So in fact, OpenAI did try to do that. So you can see OpenAI has a blog article saying, we have a new AI classifier for indicating AI written text. So good, right? So you can use our classifier to identify, to distinguish between AI written and human written text. Yes. In this blog article, actually you need to pay attention on the second paragraph, the first sentence, what it says. It says, our classifier is not fully reliable. Why? Why? Because it says our classifier correctly identify 26% AI written test true positive. Only 26%. And then our classifier actually incorrectly labeling human written test as AI written test 9%. So false positive. So you can see true positive and false positive, which means actually we can calculate the precision rate. So as you know, because of that, OpenAI announced this AI classifier on January 31st, 2023, 1 year ago. I mean, you can say 2 years ago, in the beginning of last year. But then, as July 20, 2023, they announced saying, the AI classifier is no longer available due to its low rate of accuracy. Yeah, right. So what kind of precision rate we will consider they are so-called low accuracy? If you have the true positive and the false positive, you can assume that we have 100 AI written tasks and 100 human written tasks, and then we can calculate the precision rate is about 74%. So that is what we sometimes we can see. If you see your precision is lower than 75 or 80, then sometimes you may not really consider they are so good. And meanwhile, actually, before GPT 3.5 or 3 or ChatGPT come out, actually, we already have a very good GPT-2. GPT-2 already can generate the news, fake news, and so on. So researchers, they are already starting to trying to do the detector. So you can see, in this case, they can detect 40 words. 40-word test generated by GPT-2, and they reach 93% accuracy. On the other hand, remember they are using logistic regression, which is a statistical methodology. On the other hand, you can also use a transformer, which is a neural network-based classifier. So you can see they can reach 95% accuracy. Once again, remind you, here they are using accuracy rather than precision recall F values because they consider all the 4 values together. So you don't really know their distribution about how many false positive, how many false negative. So you cannot really know how many they incorrectly identified or falsely accused someone. And Gore, in 2023, they provide another very compressed method which combined 4 things together. And in that case, you can see they applied this to both of statistical methodology and neural network methodology. And you can see the neural network methodology can reach 98% at the sentence level. However, they also found that actually for the raw test, they are not so good. Raw test means the original raw test, and you can also divide the raw test into sentence by sentence. So it is a very special situation here. You can see 98% for the sentence level, but when you trying to come back to the raw test, actually only 88%. This research actually is a gold. It's a golden example, and the newspapers, they are using this research to say, yes, now we are safe because we do have one methodology they can reach to 99% accuracy rate to identify a piece of work, whether or not they are done by human or AI. So in this research, they are using 64 articles published in Science journal. So science means like chemistry, physics, and everything else. They are all belong to science, including biology. So they choose 64 articles, and then they use the same paper title, abstract, and ask ChatGPT 3.5 to generate another 128 example. So which means in total you have 192 articles. They are not really long articles. So basically each of the article may only have like a 6 paragraph or 10 paragraph, something like that. But each paragraph, they consider they are a sample, and you can use them to train your neural network, saying this paragraph is coming from the 128 example created by ChatGPT. So this paragraph is created by ChatGPT. On the other hand, if a paragraph is coming from the 64 article, then they will be considered this paragraph is done by human. So what do? They ask a human to read this 192 article and then ask you to identify 20 features that you can see the difference, because they tell you here is 128 article done by ChatGPT 3.5. Here is 64 article done by human. Can you let me know what are the 20 most important features you will say you can use to differentiate an article created by human or AI? So in that case, when we have these 20 features, we can train our model. And then we can see the result. So in this research, actually, they found that the trained model actually can differentiate AI writings with higher than 99% accuracy rate. So 99%. In fact, if you go to see the paper, actually inside the paper, the accuracy rate is 100%. But the researchers don't really use 100 in their paper titles. So their paper title actually is saying higher than 99%. So, okay, the only thing higher than 99% is 100. So, yeah, when you read this article or when you see the news, you will consider we are done, right? I probably will say not. Why? Take a look at what I told you earlier. Do you find anything you think you needed to reconsider, or you need to say that those parts should be considered to retest, to making sure that this 99% is really accurate? Two places. The first one is they are using 64 articles published in Science. So will that also work when we are talking about, let's say, high school English or high school Chinese or high school history course? They are different from science subject. Is that okay? Second, here the 20 features are identified by humans, right? So let me ask you, if I give you these 192 articles, even they are not a full article, as I say, each of the articles may have about saying 6 to 10 paragraphs. How much time you need to read this 192 article and let me know the 20 features? 1 hour? Can you read the 192 papers in 1 hour, 2 hour, 1 day, 2 day, 1 month, maybe 10 days? So here is a kind of time consuming things. So you may be a very quick reader. So at the end, you come out of 20 feature in 2 days or 3 days. But you still need 3 days to identify this 20 feature to allow me to train our model. So that is the time consuming or cost we don't know. And actually, researchers, they also realize that. This paper also published in 2023 by the same group of researchers, but this time, news reporter, they don't care. But as a researcher, you may care, because this time they say, let's not consider science journal. Let's consider chemical journal. So chemistry, physics, biology, they are all belonging to science. So they are choosing a sub-area in science. So how about we choose 100 papers from 10 chemical journals, and then we don't invite a human being to read them. We directly use the same 20 features and see if our model can still identify what is done by human or AI. This time, unfortunately, you can see the precision rate is down to 89% and 92% for ChatGPT 3.5 and 4. Which tell you that maybe that 20 features are not good for all kind of subjects. So different subjects, they may have different features, and we may need to take care about that. So you can see in this research is done by same group of researchers. They confirm that you may not be able to use the same 20 feature very easily, simply. So that is where we jump in. We say, can we have a better way to train computer to differentiate the AI random test? So in our methodology, we consider to use so-called statistical natural language processing, which means we use the numbers. And then we also use convolutional neural network. If you are doing neural network research, you probably will wonder, what? You are using CNN. CNN is well known in terms of they can do facial recognition, they can do fingerprint recognition, they can do image recognition very good. But are we talking about test? Students write an assignment. They are not the image, right? So why you consider to use CNN? So that is our idea. We are considering, can we convert what you write into your fingerprint or signature? And then because they are signature or fingerprint, so they are image, then we can use CNN to identify whether or not this piece of work's fingerprint or signature is yours. So before we start talking about our three-stage authorship forensic approach, I need to making sure everyone is on the same page. There are two terms here. One is n-gram. N-gram, you can consider 1 gram. N is 1, that is 1 gram, or unigram, which is a word. And then if we are talking about n is 2, that is 2 gram or bigram, which means we have two words combined together. So like learning outcome is a bigram. On the other hand, you can have 3 gram, which is trigram and trigram, and that is computers in education or smart learning environment. So they can be more and more and more. Actually, the longest gram I have seen from Amazon AWS service is 16 gram. So which means 16 words putting together, they think they are meaningful. So you can consider each of the gram is a word. And then when you have a gram or a word, actually each of the gram a word has their they belonging to either verb or noun or adjective or conjunction, preposition, and so on. So just like what we say earlier, like computers. So computers is a noun, right? And education usually is also a noun, and in may be a preposition. So that will make this 3 grand. They have a part of speech tag saying noun, preposition, noun. Okay. Now, according to Penn, that is from Pennsylvania University, their Penn Tree Bank, they actually identify, at least in English, for 1 grand level, which means one word, it will have 36 different kind of part of speech tag. So you also need to understand that even the same word, like learning here and learning in another sentence, they may have a different part of speech tag. For example, maybe here that is a kind of a verb, and in another place that is a kind of adjective. So depending on where the word is happening in your sentence, they may have a different part of speech tag. So because we know that, we say, see, when you are hearing people, they are talking like me, I'm talking, you may find that I prefer to use certain words repeatedly. For example, some people, they may saying that oh, something like something like a cat, right? You know, so they are always talking about those filter words, or they are frequently used words. Even when authors, they write their book like a novel, they always use some kind of a similar sentence in their novels. So in that case, many people consider this kind of pet phrase or filter words can be used to identify, because this is your favorite words. So if I see this article has so many favorite words, then I know this is written by Maiga, right? But if you consider words, you may falling into the scope, which I say subject area. Because in some subject area, you may not really can use that kind of words. So in our research, we say, forget about the words. Let's concentrate on part of speech tag. Some people, they like to use a lot of noun and noun. Some people, they like to use a lot of adjective. So no matter which kind of area the article they are writing for, they sometimes will still use the same strategy. They will still use noun and noun, or adjective and noun, and something like that. So in that case, if we focus on part of speech tag, then we may be able to detect a human writing test without consider the subject area. But there is a problem. The problem is, you know that we have 36 part of speech tag at 1 or unigram level, which means if we take a look at the 4-gram, quadrogram level, then we will have in total 1 million combination, right? 36 multiply 36 multiply 36 multiply 36. That is why we need statistical natural language processing. So you can see, I put at least 2 examples here. Document 0 is done by one person. Document 29 is done by another person. You can find out that the document 0 actually use DT noun, which means something like the car, a cat, the dog. So in that case, this also use a lot of DTNN. And then the second one is like a people, the plural noun, research. They are all a kind of noun which doesn't need to, you don't need to have S or ES be after that. And on the other hand, 29, document 29 also actually use a lot of preposition and JJ, which is adjective. So he or she like to describe things with blue sky, a red car, a gray book. So that is difference. You can see that very easy to identify they are different. But with this difference, we still cannot trying to use this to train our neural network model. So we need to consider, can we find the most frequently used part of speech tag? So we can try to find the top 50 part of speech tag based on when we use computer to read 22,000 long abstract from DBpedia, which is a kind of Wikipedia, trying to know how people they write in article. So in that case, we can come out, for example, top 50. As you know, we have 1 million different combinations, so you can also have a top 100 or top 200, depending on you. But we use top 50 because the top 50 is good enough. So if we sort the top 50 as the x-axis, then you can see this is done by human. This is done by ChatGPT. This is done by GPT-4. With your bare eyes, can you see difference? They do have difference, right? And if I put them 2 by 2 for you, so take a look at this one, and I will switch the slide, and I will switch back and focusing on the first part and the second part. Maybe you can see. Are they different? Yes, they are different, right? Even they are always the same 50, but they are different. So that is what we saw. Now let's consider that it's a fingerprint. And in that case, can we train a neural networks model to identify your fingerprint? Just like the facial recognition, when you go past to the immigration officer, then they will ask you to use your photo or using your fingerprint to know, oh, you are Charlie, you are Maiga, something like that. So can we also do that? And the reason we choose CNN is so powerful. According to the current result, it can reach 99%, 99.77%, which is near human performance about image recognition. So CNN is well used in industry, including your iPhone, Samsung, and other mobile device. Their fingerprint or photo ID or Face ID that is based on CNN. So what is our performance? You can see we can train the two-class model, which can identify the text written by human and ChatGPT. We can also train a three-class model that can identify a piece of text written by human, ChatGPT 3.5, ChatGPT 4. With 96% precision rate, over 98% precision rate. But that is not the biggest news for you. The biggest and the most important news is how much time. How much time we need to train this model. For the two-class model, we only need to use 56 seconds. This is done by using a regular desktop with CPU only without GPU. So, which means when we put this system online on the virtual machine, you can use, you can experience by yourself. It will take a little bit more time, like I would say double, so which means about 2 minutes in the virtual machine, and maybe 40 minutes for the 3-class model. But I hope 40 minutes you cannot read the 192 paper, right? So waiting for 40 minutes, you can have a 3-class model. That is good. And also, just like all of you know, when you have children, you train children, or when you have the students in the class, you train your student with the textbook. Even all the students, all the children, they are reading the same textbook. Will they have the same learning outcome? No, right? So, which means, how about you train 10 2-class model? Each of them, they may have a precision rate like a 92, 93, 96, maybe if they have a 97. So you have 10 people, they all have a different precision rate. And can you consider to form a judge panel? So when you have a piece of work, you can say, judges, please let me know how you think. So first judge say, no, this is written by human. Second one say, yes, this is done by GPT. Third, yes, no, yes, yes, no, no, yes. So you got a judge panel to tell you their majority decision. And each of them, they are trained. Of course, they will not always train like this 96. So some of them, they may train even better. Some of them, they may train worse. So you can consider that you have a batch of the judge, and you can ask their, their common agreement, and you can use that as your outcome. And in this case, we can see that the finding is here. I highlight everything. So if we compare about precision, you can see our 96, 97 precision, 98, 97 precision is better than 89, 93. And if we are talking about F0.5 score, which means we consider both of recall rate and precision rate together, but we emphasize precision much more important, then you can see 96, 95 here. Here is 91 and 94. And if we consider recall is more important than precision, then our F1 value, F1 is the same. If you consider precision and recall, they are equally important, then our result is 94, 93, while some of them, they reported 82, 89. Remember, not all researchers, they will report all the numbers, but in our case, we consider to report everything we have, so you can do the comparison more, in objective way. And of course, unfortunately, we cannot compare with this 99%. That is too good. But we always say that the 99% require human experts intervention, and the 20 features are analyzed based on the 64 article and maybe not be able to reused in, for example, chemical subject area. On the other hand, our methodology actually only require you to upload your data and then come back in half of hours. You can get your result. So just in case, if you want to test it, you can go to our Authorship Forensic portal. I will give you the link at the later slides. And you can prepare your data in any of these ways. So for example, you can have a label like a ChatGPT or human, and then you can have a title if you want. If you don't want to have a title, it is okay. You can have your label and the test. So the test is using the double quotation mark to have that test. And when you have a label, you can use, for example, like a ChatGPT 4, ChatGPT 3.5. So in that case, our system can know you wanted to specifically train for ChatGPT 4 and 3.5. So the data you have will looks like this. So you have, as I say, the first one is author. The second one actually is the content. You can skip the title. You don't need a title. When you have this, you can go to our website. So now you can see the website link, ngren.pos.vipresearch.ca. When you go to the website, you can click Authorship Forensic, then you can come here. Later, we will have a newer version, which we are trying to divide the step into different steps, so you will not get lost. But right now, you will see something like this. You can enter your data set name, your preferred data set name, and you can choose top 5, top 15, or top 50 you want to train. If you check all of them, then all of them will be trained in different models. And you can consider to train your model as a 3 class, 2 class, or all class. So right now, actually, our goal is all class. All class means, let's say, you are using learning management system, and you always discuss some content with your classmates with the discussion forum. So in that case, actually, we can find your fingerprint from those discussion posting. And when you submit your assignment 1, we can double check to see if assignment 1's fingerprint match your discussion fingerprint. If it is matching, which means you do homework by yourself. On the other hand, if they are not matching, which means you either hire someone to do your assignment 1, or you find a ChatGPT to do the assignment 1 for you, or you hire someone to do the discussion for you while you only write the assignment, or you do nothing. Both of discussion forum and assignment, you are hiring someone to help you because they don't have a same fingerprint. So our goal actually is all. So we can identify each of you. And then once you choose, you can add that. So you can say, I want to train 2 model. You can have another 3 model. You can also set different kind of parameters. So in one settings, you can create multiple models if you want. And then you can choose your TTL file and upload it. Once you click upload, then the processing is starting. So you can see the processing is here. So you can see right now it's preparing document and something like that. You can always delete or view the result or do the prediction. So before you do everything, you can also consider to click the login button to create your own account. You don't need to use the real username here. You only need to use a fake email address. The only disadvantage for you to use a fake email address is if you forget the password, we cannot help. You need to register another account because no one can really access your password because you are using fake email address. So if you do have a login, if you do have an account, actually you can change a model from private to public. What that mean? That means you can actually share your model to allow others to use your model. So for example, the university or school, they can create models and then make it public. So every teachers, they can use the same model. They don't need to train the model by themselves. On the other hand, you can also train your own models without sharing to others. So no one can see your model. It's just yours. So once we have this, you can see that the model is right now is parsing, is reading. So remember, computers need to read the text from what you upload, and then trying to find their part of speech tag, and then trying to matching those part of speech tag to their fingerprint, create the fingerprint, and then do the training. So when I say 56 seconds, that is training time, you still need to allow the server or computer to read the article and create your fingerprint first before train that. So that is why I ask you to come back like a half of hours later so you can have your model ready for you to do the testing. So when you already have a model, actually here you can see we open 30 different models for you to do the testing. Each of them, they are using the same data, but you can consider there are 30 different people. Each of them, they are learning a little bit different. And with that, you can either delete them or you can take a look at them. So if you take a look at them, then you can see in this data set, we create two models. One is model 3, the other one is model 2. And we also train the top 5, top 15, top 50. So that is something you can see. More important thing is you can click any of the model. If you click any of the model, then you can see all the data. We wanted to keep our data transparent for everyone. So I told you we have a good performance. I told you how much time we need to train the model. You probably don't believe that. It is okay. Try yourself and go to take a look at the result, and then you can see all the result, and even you can see here is a time spent. .txt. So everything is transparent there. As I say, if you train 10 models, each of the models, they will have a different performance, just like you train your children. When you have a model, you can predict, use that to predict whether or not the submission from students, they are real. And when you click predict, you can do two kinds of prediction. One is a batch prediction, which means you can upload all the submission assignments from your student together. And then later, half hours later, you come back, or 2 minutes or 3 minutes later, you come back to take a look at are they writing the assignment by themselves. Or you can copy and paste the content. You don't really need to provide the author name here because they are your students' assignment, and you don't care. You only want to see whether or not they are belonging to ChatGPT or ChatGPT 3.5 generated. So in that case, you can click on the make a single prediction. So let's take a look at the batch prediction. The batch prediction, you can also provide a TTL file, which is similar to what you use to train a model. And you can choose a model and upload. Once you upload it, you can always see the status here. As I say, computers need to read what you upload and find their fingerprint and then compare their fingerprint with earlier fingerprint trend. So usually I will say that if you have one student's result, you may consider to wait 1 minute because computer need to read and find the part of speech tag, convert them into fingerprint, and then make the prediction. So for each of the user, you may consider to wait 1 minute when you upload a batch of your students' data. So if you upload the assignments from your 60 students, then maybe you need to come back later, 1 hour later, 60 minutes later, to making sure that you see everything. So if you already have something then you can view the result. So for example, we click the view, you can say, I only want to take a look at the top 50's fingerprint. I only want to take a look at the ID from 679 to 688. Because you upload the data, so each of the data, each of the record will have a number. So you will be able to know the third entry, the third data actually is 1679, something like that. So you can either to use a search function or you can check. So once you check, you can submit and you can see the result. So let's try to see what happened for this 8 record. I use a 8 record to do the recognition. And in that case, actually, the result looks like this. What this means? So you can see we have actual author, Maiga, actual author, Chang, actual author, someone, actual author, ChatGPT, blah, blah, blah. And you can also see the predict author. So in that case, you will find that the human authors, they are identified as human. ChatGPT authors, they have one entry is uncaught. So you can consider that if this is a student who submit their assignment, and you will say your work is done by human. So they skip. They are not being caught, and they will still get, let's say, high score. That is not good, right? But I would like to emphasize, no one is accused falsely. As long as I say your homework is done by ChatGPT, they are. So what, as I mentioned earlier, which one is important for you? For me, I will say that I prefer to let someone get loose, get free, but I don't want to accuse anyone. So even I know this in this situation, because the recall rate is not so high than precision, so maybe someone will not be caught, just like you cheat, but no one caught you are cheating. So that is a kind of unfair. But I don't want to false accuse anyone saying you are cheating while he or she is so hard-working students, right? So that is our goal. That is why we consider precision is more important than recall. So to recap, you can see our 2 class, 3 class, they can be trained with on a desktop or laptop with 56 seconds with a precision rate like 96 or 98. And we only need, when you train the data, we only need the passing data, for example, 343 entry, and then we can get you a very good result. You don't need to have a lot of data. So what we are going to do for next? The first thing is we have this 636 arbitrary data set. We want to test this data set on the existing AI content detector. We want to see whether or not we are so good. Are we so good? Can we beat everyone else in the market? That is our first goal. The second goal is you do know that the other researchers, they do have a data set. And we do have a model. As I say, we have a 30 trained model. Can we reuse this 30 trained model to identify correctly for those existing data set? If we can identify that correctly, that means a model can be reused even for different subject or different discipline, right? And then now we are collecting new data set with human authors. So in any case, if any of you wanted to participate in this research, I encourage you to contact me. I can give you a link. The link will ask you to write 7 150 words test. For example, we will say that now you want to comprehend something to your community service. Can you write down 150 words? So we want to see if this data set that is not about science, not about chemistry, not about paper, but your common daily writing. So we wanted to use this new data set to double checking whether or not the trained model can also be expanded to the common writing or daily writing patterns. And by the way, good news is the first 50 participants who submit their answers to our research, you will be able to get 20 Canadian dollar Amazon e-gift card, which you can buy anything on Amazon. So right now, just I want you to know, okay, maybe not for the recording viewers, but right now we still have a plenty space for you to get $20 Amazon gift card. So contact me if you want to participate. And then we wanted to test our reliability and robustness. For example, we do know that there is not just about ChatGPT. We have Google Gemini, we have Microsoft Bing Chat, we have Cloud. So can we have a trained model directly identify their writing is generative AI writing? Because in two class model, we only say human or generative AI. So can we use this trained model to do this kind of things without retraining? That is also one of our next step. So in any way, I hope everything will be helpful for you, and if you have any question, you can ask in the chat, or you can send me an email address, or you can add me if you are using WeChat or Line, you can scan this QR code and add me, and you can contact me directly. Of course, all of my research, they are free and open access, so you are also welcome to use our Authorship Forensic portal to do some tests by yourself and see what will happen. And I'm also looking forward to have a collaboration with any of you in the future. So thank you so much for having me today. And if you have any question, you can put it on the test, or you